Okay, all's fair. I see why you got renewed for a season 2 already. Now, season 1, episode 6, I was pleasantly surprised. Let me tell you what I loved about this episode. I really liked that we actually got to see some lawyering on this episode and not just see the ladies like blackmailing their opponents. I also was impressed with Sarah Paulson's performance, obviously. When she was chewing out Emerald and Allura, when she was standing on top of that table, but I was hoping she would fall. I'm sitting there like, fall. And also what I was impressed by, well, I wouldn't say I was impressed, but I wasn't mad at Kim K's acting when she gave like her whole poetic monologue to Chase when they were in the mediation room. I wasn't mad at Kim K, and I wasn't mad at her crying in the bathroom either, but we're gonna get into that. But guys, just to give you a heads up, this video may be shorter than my normal recaps because it's the night before Thanksgiving. I'm about to pop open a bottle of wine. I got a whole lot of cooking to do. I gotta go grab some desserts. So today we're just gonna kiki a little bit, not so much a formal recap. But before I get started, if you're new here, my name is Brandy, and I realize that you could be on any channel in the world, but you're right here with me, and I really do appreciate that. So please go ahead and like this video, and also subscribe to the channel if you do like watching TV show reviews and also movie reviews. And before I forget, happy Thanksgiving, by the way, too, guys. Hope you guys stay safe out there. Don't just be eating at anybody's house now. You got to be careful out there, and hopefully you get you some good deals on Black Friday. So episode 6 kicks off with Car and her client Chase at Allura, Emerald, and Liberty's law firm. However, on this episode, just thought about it, we didn't see Liberty this whole episode. But anyway, immediately when Car sees Chase, she insults his hair. His hair is up in a man bun. It's a little bit greasy, but it wasn't too bad in my opinion because he's so attractive. He has such a nice chiseled face. And as I said before, he reminds me of one of those vampire actors. But anyway, Car, she insults him. She says, "Oh my God, look at your goddamn hair. It looks like the fucking Exxon Valdez jizzed all over it. Come here, you man, baby." And then she attempts to try to do his hair. She takes it out of the greasy bun. She puts some dry shampoo on it. I forgot the brand, but they did mention the brand. And I know that brand probably paid a grip to be in this show. But anyway, she tries to do his hair with the dry shampoo and she's unsuccessful. So she just puts it back up in a man bun. And she starts to coach him before the mediation between him and the Lord. And she starts the coaching off with a quote from Maya Angelou saying, "People will forget what you said. People will forget what you do, but people will not forget how you made them feel." Tears are gold in that mediation room. I need you to cry. Every tear that you cry is like another $100,000. I need you to think of it like that, Chase. And he's just sitting there confused because, I mean, I'm saying it a lot more politely than the way Car was talking to Chase. And I cannot figure out why would Chase let this woman talk to him like that. I mean, who's paying who here? Car, are you paying Chase or is Chase paying you? She is so disrespectful to him, but she's pretty much disrespectful to everybody. But anyway, she's coaching him to just cry, and she even gives him a Kleenex laced with wasabi. I gotta try that. Does that work? Can you cry with if you just wipe your eye a little bit with wasabi? But anyway, they walk into the mediation room and the judge is there. And again, I was so happy to see a judge on this episode. This is what I've been waiting for. This is a legal drama. I want to see legal proceedings. So they go into the room. The judge is there. We see who's there. Dina is there representing Allura. And we also see that Alberta, my girl Lorraine Toussaint, is in this as well, and she's working alongside Car to represent Chase. The judge, he introduces himself and he tells both parties that the purpose of the mediation is to come to a mutual agreement and that the goal is not for them to go to trial. And if they can't come to an agreement today, then that's exactly where they'll end up, in trial. And he suggests that Allura and Chase talk directly to each other, not as adversaries, but as two people that used to share their life together. And he says, "Who wants to go first?" And Car, she kicks Chase under the table, so he goes first, right? And Chase, he gives this beautiful monologue about when he first met Allura. By the way, he was also trying to text her, like, while the judge was introducing himself, talking about "you look hot," you know, all of this. After everything he put that lady through. But anyway, he looks at Allura and he begins his beautiful speech. He says, "When I first laid eyes on you, it's like the world stopped, all the noise quieted, and you were like a ray of light in my life. And when we finally ended up going on a date, you made me feel seen. You saw me for who I was, and you loved me for who I was." And he starts crying, and he says to her, "I will never regret the life that we had together." You know, he put on quite a performance, and I don't know this gentleman from anywhere else, but he did a really good job. And Alora, she seems like she's really touched by Chase's words, but nonetheless, she gets up and she asks to be excused from the table, and we see that she goes into the bathroom. She's in the mirror and she's crying, mascara running down her face. She's holding her stomach. And again, I was not mad at Kim K's acting in this episode. She did a pretty decent job. Then she goes into the bathroom stall, and then Dina just enters the bathroom, and Dina is just telling her, you know, just to be strong, that lawyers make the worst clients, that they need to get back out there, you know, head up, shoulders back, all of that. And Alora, she comes out of the bathroom and she says, basically, like, I'm not crying over that. I just got my period, which means that the embryos didn't take. And Dina was looking a little bit puzzled because Dina didn't know the full story, that Alora illegally signed off on Chase's consent to have the embryos placed inside of her. But unfortunately, those embryos didn't take. So she is not pregnant because she has her period. And Alora tells her that. And Dina is like, why didn't you tell me this sooner? You know, you could get in a lot of trouble for that. You destroy communal property. I'm your lawyer. You got to tell me everything. And Alora is like, listen, I just didn't want to make you an accessory to the crime. You know, I know what I did. I know it's against the law and all of that. But, you know, let's get back out here into this mediation room. Once Dina and Alora go back into the mediation room, it's Alora's turn to address Chase. So she starts off by saying, I always thought we were building our life together. And I was waiting on that one day. The one day where you would stop playing football. The one day where my law firm was super successful and that we could focus on each other and have kids. And little did I know that you despise perfection. And I always believed in you. I loved you. I gave you everything I had. And now Chase is crying. He is really moved by Alora's words. And Car is chastising him like, you idiot. You're not supposed to cry during her story. You're supposed to cry during your story, you asshole. So she's going off on him. And the judge decides to let everybody take a break. So we see both parties enter into separate rooms to strategize. We see Car and Alberta talking to Chase, and they're trying to keep him from spiraling. He is really emotional, and he's saying things like he still wants to be with Alora. It's all his fault that they're not together, and that the judge is going to see through everything, and that Alora is going to win. And Alberta and Car, they insist that they need to nullify the prenup without contesting it, which is a very difficult balancing act. So Chase is like, what does that mean? Does that mean we're challenging the prenup without challenging the prenup? And they're like, yes. So when they go back in the mediation room, Alberta was on her A game. She really was. And I'm still debating. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this too. But did Alberta walk Alora into the trap? Or did Alora know what's up? I also had that same question where in the later scene, Alora was talking to Chase in the hallway at a law firm. And she was being really nice to him, you know, telling him that he should never admit guilt. He should never say sorry during the mediation because that immediately means that you're guilty. Was Alora playing chess here? Even with the embryos, everything. I just think at first when I was watching this, I'm like, Alora is acting like a dummy. And then at the end, I'm like, Alora got everything that she really wanted at the end. So maybe she wasn't acting like a dummy. So anyway, they go back into the mediation room, and Alberta asked to speak directly to Alora. And she asked Alora about a trust that she had listed on a prenuptial agreement where she declared her assets. And she asked Alora if that's a trust from her old high school, and Alora says yes. So Alberta acts like she's taking notes. Well, she probably really was taking notes, but she was playing dumb here too. She was like, okay, Alora went to such and such high school for 4 years, and this is the trust for that high school. And Alora corrected her like, no, I wasn't there actually 4 years. I was only there 2 years because my mother sent me to a reform school in Vermont. And we find out that this reform school was basically torturing girls, and that her mom sent her there because they had a very complicated relationship. But when Alora's dad found out about everything, he pulled her out of the school. But unfortunately, his conscience just couldn't deal with, you know, what his daughter was going through, that she went through that amount of abuse. He started drinking excessively. And I believe he passed away from like alcoholism or liver damage. I don't know. The show was starting to get a little fuzzy for me at this point. The whole point was Alberta walking Alora into a trap to get the prenuptial agreement nullified, and it worked because Alora admitted that once she was able to, that she purchased that reform school and she had it shut down, and that was just an abandoned building in Vermont. So now it looks like Alora is a liar, because why didn't she claim that asset on a prenup? And now the judge is even questioning them. They take another break and they go their separate ways, and the judge is like, listen, this gives me pause, Alora. Like, what else can you be misrepresenting? Like, if you lied about this, you'll lie about something else. So while the judge is looking at Allura with a side eye now, he's also looking at Alberta and Carr because of the way they they backdoored Allura, right? So he's looking at them and he's not happy with the way they found out about this asset. So now the judge is suggesting that they continue the mediation, which is acting like there isn't a prenup in this case, which actually works in Chase's favor at that moment. So Emerald is pushing Dina and Allura to use whatever information that she has in the folder. She's like, listen, we need to take them to the mat. We need to do what we have to do because, Chase actually might win at this point. And Dina is really against that. And she goes on to say how she somewhat feels bad about Carr and how the ladies left Carr behind and that Carr could have been a totally different and better human being if she wasn't put in that situation that they actually put her in, which is some BS to me. Like, how do you turn into such an evil, vile human being because your coworkers went on to start a law firm without you? That really still does not make sense to me why Carr is so angry with these ladies. When the mediation continues, they start talking more specifically about assets, and I believe Chase is asking for about $1 million per month from Allura, and he's actually asking for her law firm as well, which is more so what Carr wants than what Chase wants. Chase don't want that damn law firm, but Carr really wants to finish Allura and them. Then the topic of the embryos come up, and they're trying to hold that over Allura's head because Carr knows that Allura wants the baby. Chase knows that she wants a baby as well. So they're holding that over her head, and they're like, checkmate. And Allura's like, checkmate would imply that I don't have any moves left. And I do. Because, see, I had those embryos implanted and they did not work. I am not pregnant. And, she's a little bit emotional in her delivery, but not too much. But Chase, he stands up and he is very upset for Allura. He's like, Allura, is this true? Did this really happen? And this is where I said Allura might have been playing chess and not checkers. Because although she's snitching on herself, look, it's all about emotions. So she wasn't really playing the legal game. She was just playing on Chase's emotions. And Chase, he even wants to end the entire divorce proceedings right then and there. He's done with the whole fiasco, So it's Carr that's really pushing him to move forward. So both parties are strategizing again, but we see that Dina got a call from the hospice nurse, so she has to leave, and she leaves Emerald in charge. And I'm like, when did Emerald become an attorney? Did I miss something? I'm on episode 6, and I thought that Emerald strictly was an investigator, a former police officer or detective, and just an investigator. I did not know she was a lawyer. I was today years old when I found out. But anyway, so Emerald, she wants to play dirty. She got a whole bunch of dirt that she dug up by using her connections at the police station. So when they go back in the mediation room, Emerald has guns blazing. She is ready for war. In fact, the first thing she brings up when they go back in is that Chase has an issue with gambling because he's been trying to clear up his debts, and he's been intentionally losing football games on purpose just to clear up his debts. And that pisses Carrington off so much. And then Carrington says, well, if you want to be an asshole, speaking of assholes, I have pictures of yours on the internet. I know you thought you scrubbed everywhere and nobody has the photos of you, but I had the photographs of you. And she was referring to pictures of Emerald Green from when her SA took photographs of her in a very compromising position. And you could tell that this really struck a chord with Emerald, but I don't think Carrington knew about the SA. Maybe she did, I'm not sure. But Emerald, she didn't immediately go off. She just says, you know what? This ends today. This, whatever you are, it ends today. And I love how she said that because that's my question too. Like, whatever you are. And that's my question too, Carr. Like, what are you? Not who are you? What are you? Anyway, Emerald proceeds to pull up something on her tablet, and it goes on a projection screen for everybody to see. And what it is this dash cam footage of when Carrington was arrested for a DUI not too long ago. And in the back seat of the patrol wagon, we see that Carrington is just going off on a tangent. She's talking about how she went and got a DUI, and she would have just sucked her client off. She was talking about she needs a man. I need a man. I need a man. Like, she's whining on a video. She's a drunk, hot mess. And Emerald is threatening to release that to the press. And that's when Carrington jumps her ass up on the table, gets in Emerald's face, get in Allura's face. And she's really giving it to Allura, even more so to Emerald. And she says a number of things that are very offensive. But the number one thing she said that was offensive to me, to Allura, is when she calls Allura a career-obsessed, infertile bitch. That was such a low blow for me. And I really wanted to put hands on Carrington, on Alora's behalf, because you never just take a low blow at a woman's infertility. That was very tacky of Carrington. But you could tell everybody is looking at Carrington. They're not on her side. She's looking around as if it's funny. And even Alberta, her partner, comes over and like, get off this table. Enough is enough. Jesus Christ, Chase helps her get off the table. And again, like I said, I was waiting for Carrington to fall off that table. Something about the camera angles, they kept zooming in on her feet. And I just thought during that crash out that she was going to fall out. And I thought that would have been so hilarious if they did do that. But Carrington is embarrassed and everybody is just disgusted by her, and she goes into a separate room and she's crying. And Emerald Green, she walks into the room and surprisingly she's pretty nice to Carrington. They talk about being single mothers because Carrington was complaining, rightfully so, that she does it all on her own. She takes care of her kid on her own. She has the law firm on her own. Everything's 100% on her. And Emerald was like, well, hell, me too. I'm a single mom and I got 3 boys, and I'm part of this law firm too. So, you're the pot talking to the kettle, or the kettle talking to the pot, however that saying go. But anyway, Alora comes in and Alora hugs Carrington as well, and they all just have a heartfelt conversation. They tell her, that they know that they played a part in her demise by leaving her behind at the law firm, and they actually just piece it up right then and there. And Carrington agrees to just go 50-50, which is what the ladies wanted in a prenuptial agreement. Just to go back to the original agreement, 50-50, not Chase getting $1 million a month, not Chase getting the law firm, none of that. And Carrington, she actually admits that she was the one that wanted the law firm, which we all knew. She wanted the law firm and not Chase. But they actually end up just, having a peaceful resolution at the end of that episode. But I wonder how Liberty is going to take to hearing this news, because again, Liberty, she was not in this entire episode. So I wonder what Liberty has to say about everything, because just because they're at peace with Carrington now doesn't mean that Liberty has to be. And then the closing scene of this episode, we see very sad scene. We see Dina at home with Dougie, and she's just laying on his chest. They're playing a sad song in the background. Forgot exactly what song it was, but it seems like he's just taking his last breaths, and she's just there laying on his chest, like she's listening to his heartbeat. And I think our boy Dougie might be gone. I think he might be going, sadly. But comment down below. Let me know if I missed anything. I think I covered all of the key points. Again, just a very hectic day. The night before Thanksgiving, I wasn't taking as clear and detailed notes as I usually take. But nonetheless, good episode. Glad that All's Fair is getting a season 2. Very happy to hear that. But nonetheless, guys, you guys stay safe out there. Have a very happy Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. And I will see you all on the next All's Fair on Hulu recap. Love you. Peace.